All right, so today we're gonna tackle Amazon product research.
Okay.
And this is a topic that I think a lot of people kind of oversimplify.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of people think, oh, just find something cool and just like slap it up on Amazon and you'll make a ton of money. But it's a
Yeah.
little bit more complicated than that.
A lot more.
And so we're gonna take a deep dive into a book called Product Research 101 by Renae Clark.
Hmm.
And we're gonna kind of extract some of the key takeaways and kind of give you the framework or the sort of the guidelines that you need to successfully launch a product on Amazon.
Right. Yeah. And I think you'll be surprised when you find out just how much work actually goes into this process.
Right. Yeah, it's not just about like picking something that you think is cool or something that you would buy. There's a
Hmm.
whole methodology to it. So,
Absolutely. And Clark really stresses that this is like the foundation of your entire Amazon business. Like you can't even think about marketing or branding or anything like that until you have a solid product.
right. Yeah. I mean, she even says like that the product research is way more important than even the marketing.
Exactly.
Like she's flipping the script, we
Hmm.
often think of, okay, first I need to come up with a killer marketing plan and then
Right.
and then I'll figure out the product, but she's like, no, 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 you got to figure out that product first and foremost. And I think one of the things that really struck me is that she spent 5 months
Wow.
researching her first product. I
Yeah.
mean, 5 months, that's a long time. Like that's a serious
It, it
commitment.
it really highlights the importance of due diligence,
Right,
and it shows you that you can't rush this process.
right, right.
Like you're not just going to find the perfect product overnight.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Yeah, and I think what's really great about the book is that she acknowledges a lot of the anxieties that we all have about launching a new product, like
Oh yeah.
that fear of choosing the wrong product
Yeah.
or getting stuck in analysis paralysis,
Yeah.
like overthinking everything.
Exactly. She totally gets it. And the best part is she provides actionable steps to overcome those fears.
Yeah.
So you're not just left feeling anxious and overwhelmed. She actually gives you a framework to follow.
Right. Okay, so let's get into some of those frameworks.
Sure.
So one of the things that she talks about is brainstorming techniques, and how do you come up with product ideas in the first place?
Hmm.
And one of the things she says is look at Amazon's movers and shakers section,
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
which is basically a list of products that have had the biggest jumps in sales rank. So
Exactly.
why why is that such a valuable tool for somebody who's just starting out?
Well, think of it as a sneak peek into emerging trends.
Okay.
These are products that are gaining traction rapidly, and by observing them, you can get a sense of what's catching the attention of customers right now.
So it's not just about like jumping on a trend, it's about understanding why it's trending
Exactly.
and whether it has staying
Yeah.
power, right?
Precise. Okay. And that's where data-driven validation comes in.
Okay.
You need to be sure there's actually a market for your product before you invest a lot of time and money.
Right.
And Clark recommends using tools like BSR, Bestseller Rank, Google Trends,
Okay.
keyword research.
Mm-hmm.
All of these can help you gauge the demand and the competition for your product.
So let's say I'm interested in selling yoga mats.
Okay.
How could I use these tools to kind of validate that idea?
Sure. Well, let's start with BSR. You can look at the BSR of existing yoga mats on Amazon.
Okay.
A lower BSR generally means higher sales volume.
Okay.
So you can get a sense of how well yoga mats are already selling.
Gotcha.
Then you can use Google Trends to see if interest in yoga mats is increasing or decreasing over time.
Okay.
And keyword research tools can show you the search volume for relevant keywords, like yoga mat, eco-friendly yoga mat, or non-slip yoga mat.
Okay. So it's not just about, searching for yoga mat. It's about like finding those like little niche keywords
Exactly.
that might indicate a specific demand.
Yeah, you want to get as specific as possible with your keywords.
Gotcha.
Now, here's a really interesting tip that Clark offers.
Okay.
Look at competitor weaknesses
Oh,
and even customer reviews
okay.
for inspiration.
What do you mean by that?
Well, by understanding what customers are complaining about,
Okay.
you can identify opportunities to improve existing products.
So it's like turning a negative into a positive,
Exactly.
right? Instead of being intimidated by competitor success, you can actually learn from their shortcomings.
Precisely. And speaking of competition,
Yeah.
finding reliable suppliers is another crucial piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, I imagine that can be pretty daunting, especially for somebody who's just starting out.
It can be, but Clark breaks it down really well.
Okay.
She talks about the pros and cons of domestic versus international sourcing.
Mm-hmm.
which I think is really helpful for new sellers to understand.
Right, because there's obviously trade-offs, right? Like domestic suppliers might be more
Yeah.
expensive, but you might have.
Faster shipping.
Yeah.
Faster shipping, better communication.
Right, exactly.
Whereas international, you might get lower costs, but then you have...
Longer lead times.
Right, exactly.
Communication barriers,
Yes.
potentially.
Yeah, so it's all about kind of weighing those different factors and
Yeah.
seeing what's the best fit for your particular business.
Absolutely. And Clark also emphasizes the importance of building strong relationships with your suppliers.
Yeah,
This is key.
yeah.
It's not just about getting the lowest price.
Right.
It's about finding partners that you can trust and rely on for the long term.
Okay, so we've got our product idea validated. We found a supplier.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's all about the money, right?
Exactly. Now we're talking profit.
Yeah. So how we...
So this is where profit margin analysis comes in.
Okay.
And this is where a lot of new sellers make mistakes.
Right.
They don't factor in all the costs.
What are some of the things that people tend to overlook?
Well, there are FDA fees,
Okay.
shipping costs,
Mm-hmm.
packaging,
Yeah.
marketing costs.
All of these things can eat into your profit margin if you're not careful.
Yeah, and it's easy to get caught up in that like initial excitement of like, oh, I can sell this for, $20 and I'm going to make a killing. But then when
Right.
you actually factor in all those costs, you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Exactly. And that's why Clark dedicates a whole section to common pitfalls to avoid.
Okay.
She wants to help you steer clear of those costly mistakes.
What are some of the big red flags that she warns against?
Well, one of the biggest ones is chasing hot trends too late.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
So by the time something is trending on social media, the market might already be saturated.
Oh, so it's about being proactive, not reactive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to be ahead of the curve.
Okay.
Another big pitfall is rushing into supplier partnerships without doing your due diligence.
So it's kind of like dating, you got to vet your partners.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't want to just jump into bed with the first supplier you meet.
All right, so we're being careful, we're doing our research, we're vetting our partners.
Right. Now, here's another interesting thing that Clark talks about.
All right.
Seasonal sales cycles.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so for example, if you're selling swimwear, obviously summer's going to be your peak season.
Right.
But maybe there's an opportunity to target a niche market during the off-season.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, so instead of just accepting that your sales are going to plummet in the winter,
Right.
maybe you could target travelers going to warmer climates
Oh, that's interesting.
or focus on indoor swim facilities.
Okay, so it's about like identifying these like hidden pockets of demand.
Exactly.
Okay. And I love how Clark emphasizes the importance of using multiple validation methods.
Yes,
Like, don't just rely on one data point.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You want to use a combination of BSR, Google Trends, keyword research,
Mm-hmm.
even competitor sales estimates
Okay.
to get a really well-rounded picture of the market.
So it's not just about like, I found one keyword that has high search volume, therefore this is a great product.
Right. You want to look at the whole picture.
Okay, cool. So now that we've talked about all the data and the validation,
Mm-hmm.
it's also got to be something that you're passionate about, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like there's no point in selling something that you just like totally hate.
Yeah, you're going to be spending a lot of time and energy on this business.
Right.
So it needs to be something that at least somewhat excites you.
Yeah, I mean, I know people say like, oh, follow your passion, but I think it's more nuanced than that. It's like,
Right.
find something that you're at least interested in.
Yeah, something that you can see yourself working on for the long haul.
Exactly, because if you're going to be spending all this time and energy on it, you want it to be something that you at least kind of enjoy.
Absolutely. And you also want to think about your long-term goals.
Okay.
Are you looking to build a brand,
Mm-hmm.
or are you more focused on quick flips and short-term profits?
Okay, so that's an important distinction.
It is, because your product research strategy will vary depending on your objectives.
Okay, so if you're building a brand, you're going to be looking for different types of products.
But if you're just trying to like flip something quickly.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. So one of the things that I personally struggle with is analysis paralysis.
Oh, yeah.
I can get so caught up in research that I never actually take action.
I totally get it. That's a common challenge.
Yeah, does Clark address this at all?
She does. She actually talks about how to overcome analysis paralysis.
Okay, good, because I need help with that.
She encourages setting deadlines for yourself
Okay.
and making decisions based on the best available information at the time.
So it's about finding that balance between thorough research
Right.
and then decisive action.
Exactly. You don't want to let perfection be the enemy of progress.
Right, because you could just research forever and never actually
Yeah, you'll never launch
the product. Yeah.
And remember, the Amazon marketplace is constantly evolving.
Right.
So you need to be adaptable and willing to adjust your strategy as needed.
So don't get too attached to your initial plan.
Exactly. Be open to change. Okay, now, Clark also dives into the nitty-gritty of using Amazon's tools and resources,
Right.
which I think is really helpful.
Hmm.
She talks about how to use things like the bestseller rank or
Yes.
BSR to gauge product demand and the movers and shakers list to spot those emerging trends we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. It's all about leveraging the data that's already available to you on Amazon.
Right. And she even provides like screenshots and examples in the book,
Oh, nice.
which I found super helpful.
Yeah, it's like having a visual guide
Exactly.
to navigating the platform.
Yeah. And she also stresses the importance of keyword research,
Of course.
which is like so crucial for getting your product found by customers.
It's the foundation of Amazon's search algorithm.
Right.
If you're not using the right keywords, your product's basically invisible.
Yeah, it's like you're speaking a different language.
Exactly. You got to speak Amazon's language.
Right. Okay. So how do we figure out what those right keywords are?
Well, Clark walks you through how to use tools like Helium 10 and Jungle Scout to find those high traffic keywords that are relevant to your product.
So these are like software programs
Yes.
that can help you identify those keywords.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. And then she also talks about using Google Trends
Yes.
to see how search volume for your product has changed over time,
Right.
which can help you anticipate future demand.
Exactly.
Yeah, and adjust your inventory accordingly.
It's all about staying ahead of the curve.
Right. Okay. Now, I know a lot of our listeners are interested in private labeling.
Okay.
Does Clark delve into that business model in detail?
She does. Private labeling is a big focus of the book.
Okay.
It's a popular model for Amazon sellers,
Right.
and Clark explains the process from start to finish.
Okay, so for those who aren't familiar, private labeling is basically sourcing a product from a manufacturer
Right.
and then selling it under your own brand name.
Exactly.
Okay, so it gives you more control over your product and your branding,
Mhm.
but it also requires more upfront investment and effort.
Yeah, there are definitely pros and cons to consider.
Right, so it's about weighing those and deciding if it's the right fit for your goals.
Exactly.
Okay, and does Clark provide any guidance on like how to actually find and vet suppliers?
Oh, absolutely. She gives a ton of tips on that.
Okay.
Negotiating pricing, even creating your own product packaging.
Oh, wow. Okay, so she really covers the whole gamut.
She does. She wants to give you everything you need to know to launch a successful private label product.
Awesome. Okay. Now, another business model that a lot of people are curious about is wholesale.
Okay.
So how does Clark approach that one?
So wholesaling is a bit different from private labeling.
Okay.
It involves buying products in bulk from a manufacturer or distributor
Okay.
at a discounted price and then reselling them on Amazon at a markup.
So you're not creating your own product,
Right.
but you're still leveraging the power of the Amazon platform.
Exactly. You're essentially acting as a middleman
Okay.
between the supplier and the customer.
Okay. And what are some of the advantages of that model?
One big advantage is that you don't have to worry about manufacturing,
Right.
packaging, or shipping.
Okay.
The supplier handles all of that for you.
Gotcha.
So it's a lot less hands-on than private labeling.
Okay. But it's also probably more competitive, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Because you're not the only one selling that product.
Exactly. You're competing with other wholesalers who are selling the same thing.
Right. And you're competing on price.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about finding those products where you can get a good margin.
Right. You need to have a keen eye for spotting those opportunities.
Okay, so does Clark provide any guidance on how to do that?
She does. She gives a lot of tips on finding profitable wholesale products,
Okay.
negotiating with suppliers, and managing your inventory effectively.
Okay, cool. Now, one thing that I know a lot of sellers struggle with is understanding Amazon's fees and policies.
Oh, yeah. It's a minefield out there.
Yeah, does Clark break this down in a way that's easy to understand?
She does. She's really good at demystifying the complexities of selling on Amazon.
Okay.
She covers everything from referral fees to fulfillment fees to storage fees.
Okay, so she really like breaks down all those different fees.
She does. And she explains how they can impact your profitability.
Okay, because that's something that a lot of people don't realize.
Right.
Is that those fees can really add up
Exactly.
and they can eat into your profit margin
Mm-hmm.
if you're not careful.
And she also talks about the different selling plans available to Amazon sellers
Okay.
and how to choose the right plan for your business model and sales volume.
Okay, so she really helps you navigate all of that.
She does. She wants you to be successful on Amazon.
Right. And then, of course, there's the whole issue of Amazon's policies,
Yes, those are important.
which can be a real headache.
They can be, but you have to understand them
Right.
if you want to avoid any issues with your account.
Yeah, we're talking about things like product listing policies, customer service policies,
Mhm.
intellectual property
Right,
policies.
it's a lot to keep track of.
Yeah. So does Clark provide any guidance on navigating all of that?
She does. She gives a lot of helpful tips on how to comply with Amazon's rules and regulations.
Okay, good, because that can be really overwhelming.
It can be, especially for new sellers.
Right.
But Clark makes it easy to understand.
Oh, okay, cool. So now that we've talked about like all the nuts and bolts of selling on Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
Clark also talks about building a sustainable business.
Yes.
Which I think is so important.
It is. It's not just about making a quick buck.
Right.
It's about creating a business that can thrive for years to come.
Yeah, and she talks about things like choosing products that are ethically sourced and
Mm-hmm.
manufactured,
Right.
considering the environmental impact of your packaging
Yes. Yeah.
and shipping practices.
It's about being a responsible business owner.
Exactly,
So-
and even giving back to your community.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's really like a holistic approach
It is.
to business.
It's about more than just the bottom line.
Right. Okay, so we've talked about the product research, the suppliers, the fees, the policies.
Mm-hmm.
What about mindset?
Ah, yes. Mindset is crucial.
Because selling on Amazon can be really tough.
It can be. You're going to face challenges.
Yeah.
You're going to have setbacks.
So how do we stay positive and motivated?
Well, Clark talks about the importance of having a growth mindset,
Okay.
being persistent, and embracing challenges
Yeah.
as opportunities for learning.
Okay, so it's about seeing those challenges as like stepping stones.
Exactly. They're not roadblocks, they're detours.
Okay, I like that.
And she also talks about the importance of staying positive
Mm-hmm.
and focusing on your goals,
Yeah.
even when things get tough.
Because it's easy to get discouraged.
It is,
Yeah.
especially when you're first starting out.
Right.
But it's important to remember why you started this business in the first place.
Right.
And to keep your eye on the prize.
Okay, and I think Clark also talks about the importance of like celebrating your wins.
Yes,
You know, like even the small wins.
absolutely. You
Yeah.
have to acknowledge your progress
Right.
and give yourself credit for how far you've come.
Yeah, because it's easy to just get caught up in like the day-to-day grind. Mm-hmm.
And forget to actually celebrate your successes.
Exactly. And celebrating those wins can help you stay motivated
Yeah.
and keep moving forward.
Okay, cool. Now, another thing that I know a lot of sellers struggle with is dealing with analysis paralysis.
Ah, yes, that old chestnut.
Yeah, like I said, that's something that I personally struggle with.
It's a common trap,
Yeah.
especially for those who are new to e-commerce.
Right.
You can get so bogged down in the research and
Yeah.
the data analysis
Yeah.
that you never actually take action.
Right. And you just kind of get stuck in this loop of
Yeah.
research, but never actually doing anything.
And that's not going to get you anywhere.
Right.
You need to take action to make progress.
Okay, so does Clark provide any advice on how to overcome that?
She does. She has a whole section on it.
Okay.
She encourages you to set deadlines for yourself.
Okay.
Make decisions based on the best available information at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and don't be afraid to test and iterate. Okay, so it's about like taking imperfect action.
Exactly. You're not going to have all the answers up front,
Right.
but you can learn and adjust as you go.
Okay. And she also talks about like embracing failure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Failure is part of the process.
Right.
It's how you learn and grow.
Yeah, and it's not the end of the world.
No, it's just a stepping stone.
Right. Okay, cool. Now, one of the things that I really appreciated about Clark's book
Mm-hmm.
is her focus on building a brand.
Oh, yeah.
It's something that a lot of sellers overlook,
I agree.
but it can be so powerful.
It can make or break your business.
Yeah. So why is building a brand so important?
Well, for one thing, it helps you stand out in a crowded marketplace.
Okay.
There are millions of products on Amazon,
Right.
so you need something that differentiates you from the competition.
Right.
A strong brand can do that.
Okay. And it can also help you command higher prices.
Absolutely.
Right.
Customers are willing to pay more for products from brands they trust
Yeah.
and brands that they feel connected to.
Okay, so how do we go about building a strong brand?
Well, Clark provides a lot of practical tips.
Okay.
She talks about choosing the right name,
Mm-hmm.
designing a compelling logo,
Okay.
crafting a consistent brand voice.
So it's all about creating that like cohesive brand identity?
Exactly.
Okay. And she also talks about the importance of providing excellent customer service. All
Yes,
right.
because that's a huge part of building a brand.
Right.
It's about creating a positive experience for your customers
Yeah.
so that they'll come back for more.
And tell their friends.
Exactly.
Right. And she also talks about the importance of building a positive reputation on Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
which is obviously essential
It is.
for long-term success.
Yeah.
Those positive reviews and
Right.
customer loyalty,
Yeah.
they're invaluable.
Okay, cool. So it sounds like Clark's book really does cover a wide range of topics.
It does. It's incredibly comprehensive.
Yeah.
From the nitty-gritty details of product research.
To the bigger picture of building a sustainable and profitable business.
Yeah, so it really is like a holistic guide.
It is. It's like having a mentor in your back pocket,
Cool.
guiding you through every step of the Amazon journey.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to dive into some more of the specifics.
Me too.
So let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue our deep dive into Product Research 101 by Renae Clark.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we're back, and we're continuing our deep dive into Renae Clark's Product Research 101.
All right, so where were we?
Well, we were talking about how important mindset is
Right.
for success on Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
and how Clark really emphasizes the importance of having a growth mindset, being persistent, and embracing challenges.
Yeah, the Amazon marketplace is constantly evolving,
Right?
so you need to be adaptable and willing to adjust your strategy as needed.
Yeah, and I think she also talks about the importance of, like, celebrating your wins,
Yes.
even the small ones.
Absolutely.
Because it's easy to get caught up in, like, the day-to-day grind and forget to actually, like, acknowledge your progress.
Right, you got to give yourself credit for how far you've come.
Exactly.
And those small wins can really help you stay motivated.
Okay, so we've got the right mindset.
Check.
Now let's talk about some of the specific tools and techniques that Clark recommends.
Okay, sounds good.
So one of the things that she talks about is using Amazon's brand analytics tool.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
So what is that and why is it so useful?
Well, brand analytics is a treasure trove of data for Amazon sellers.
Okay.
It provides insights into things like customer search behavior,
Mm-hmm.
competitor performance,
Okay.
and market trends.
So it's basically like a window into what's happening on Amazon.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So how do we actually use this tool?
Well, Clark walks you through it step by step in the
Right,
book,
right.
but basically you can use it to research keywords,
Mm-hmm.
track your competitors,
Okay.
identify new product opportunities,
Gotcha.
and even measure the effectiveness of your marketing campaigns.
So it's really like a one-stop shop.
It's a powerful tool that every Amazon seller should be using.
Okay. So if we're going to be using brand analytics,
Yes.
we need to have a brand, right?
Oh, ideally, yes.
Okay. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Clark talks a lot about the importance of building a brand
Mhm.
and how that can really differentiate you in the marketplace.
Right.
So what are some of her key tips for building a strong brand?
Well, first and foremost, you need to choose the right name.
Okay.
Your brand name should be memorable,
Mm-hmm.
relevant to your product,
Okay.
and easy to pronounce.
So nothing too crazy or out there?
Right. You want something that people can easily remember and spell.
Gotcha.
Once you have your name, you need a logo.
Okay.
Your logo is the visual representation of your brand.
Right.
So it needs to be eye-catching, professional,
Okay.
and again, relevant to your product.
So it's all about creating that like visual identity.
Exactly.
Okay. And then what about brand voice?
Yes, your brand voice is how you communicate with your customers.
Yep.
It's the tone and style of your writing,
Hmm.
your social media posts, your
Uh-huh.
product descriptions,
Gotcha.
everything.
So it should be consistent across all of your channels.
Exactly.
Okay. And what are some of the other things that Clark recommends for building a strong brand?
Well, she talks about the importance of providing excellent customer service,
Right.
building a community around your brand,
Okay.
and creating a brand story that resonates with your target audience.
So it's not just about having a logo and a name.
Right. It's about creating an emotional connection with your customers.
Okay. So now we've got our brand.
Check.
We've got our product.
Good.
We've got our suppliers. We've got our marketing plan.
Check.
Are we ready to launch?
Almost there.
Okay. What else do we need to do?
Well, we need to create our product listing.
Oh, right.
This is how customers are going to find your product on Amazon.
So it's kind of like our storefront.
Exactly.
Okay, so what are the key elements of a good product listing?
Well, first, you need high-quality product photos
Okay.
that showcase your product in the best possible light.
Right.
You need a compelling product title
Mm-hmm.
That includes relevant keywords.
Okay.
You need a detailed product description
Okay.
that highlights the benefits and features of your product.
And we need bullet points.
Or yes, bullet points are a great way to break up your text
Mm-hmm.
and make it easier for customers to scan.
Okay, and then what about reviews?
Ah, yes, reviews are essential.
Yeah.
They're social proof
Right.
that your product is worth buying.
Okay, so how do we get reviews?
Well, Clark provides a lot of tips on that. She
Okay.
talks about things like using Amazon's early reviewer program,
Mm-hmm.
reaching out to customers who have purchased your product,
Okay.
and even using influencer marketing.
So it's all about getting those initial reviews.
Yes, because once you have a few good reviews,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes much easier to get more.
Okay, cool. So we've got our listing. She got our reviews.
Yeah.
I think we're ready to launch.
I think so.
Okay, so what happens next?
Well, now it's time to start driving traffic to your listing.
Okay, so this is where the marketing comes in.
Exactly.
Okay, and what are some of the marketing strategies that Clark recommends?
Well, she talks about things like running Amazon PPC campaigns,
Okay.
using social media,
Hmm.
content marketing,
Okay.
email marketing.
Gotcha. So it's really like a multifaceted approach.
It is. You need to use a variety of strategies
Yeah.
to reach your target audience.
Okay. And she also talks about the importance of tracking your results.
Yes.
Right.
You need to know what's working and what's not
Okay.
so that you can adjust your strategy accordingly.
So it's not just about like throwing money at marketing. It's
Right.
about being strategic and data driven.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So we've launched our product.
Congrats.
We're driving traffic to our listing.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting sales.
Awesome.
Now what?
Now we optimize.
Okay.
The Amazon Marketplace is constantly changing.
Right.
So you need to be constantly optimizing your listing,
Okay.
your pricing,
Mm-hmm.
your marketing.
Gotcha. So it's really like an ongoing process.
It is. You're never really done.
Okay, so there's always room for improvement.
Always.
Okay, so we've really covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
But I think it's clear that Renae Clark's Product Research 101 is like a gold mine of information for anyone who's serious about selling on Amazon.
It's like she's giving away all her secrets.
Right, and it's all very actionable advice.
Hmm.
Like you can actually take this information and apply it to your own business.
Exactly. She doesn't just talk about theory. She gives you real-world examples and step-by-step instructions.
Right. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive,
Mhm.
what are some of the key takeaways that you hope our listeners will walk away with?
Well, I think the biggest one is that product research is not a one-time thing.
Okay.
It's an ongoing process.
Right.
You need to be constantly monitoring the market,
Mhm.
your competitors,
Yeah.
and your own performance.
So it's not just about like doing your research once and then you're good to go.
Right. You have to stay on top of things
Okay.
because the Amazon Marketplace is constantly changing.
Right. And you need to be able to adapt.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. What else?
Well, I also think it's important for listeners to understand that success on Amazon takes work.
Yeah.
It's not a get-rich-quick scheme.
Right.
It's a real business,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to treat it as such.
So it's about putting in the time and the effort.
Yeah, and being willing to learn and grow.
Okay. And I think Clark's book really provides the foundation for that.
It does.
You know, it gives you that knowledge and that mindset that you need to succeed.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So any final thoughts?
Well, I just want to encourage our listeners to check out Renae Clark's Product Research 101.
Yeah.
I think it's an invaluable resource
Definitely.
for anyone who's even remotely interested in selling on Amazon.
Right. And even if you're not planning on launching your own product, I think there's still a lot of valuable information in here about how the Amazon Marketplace works.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Well, that's all the time we have for today.
All right.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Product Research 101 by Renae Clark.
It was my pleasure.
And we'll see you next time.
See ya.